Welcome to the High Performance Man podcast. I am your host, John Fayocavitz. On this show, I interview successful men who have built impressive careers and businesses, founders, CEOs, senior leaders, and professionals who have operated at a high level for years. We talk about what actually made them successful. The goal is simple: to learn directly from the men who have done it so we can apply those insights into our own careers, businesses, and lives and continue raising our own standard of performance. The show is sponsored by the Prime Performance Method. The Prime Performance Method is designed specifically for high-performing men who have achieved success in their own careers but feel like their body and energy have taken a hit along the way. We help busy professional men regain strength, energy, lose weight, and feel younger without the long workouts, extreme dieting, or disrupting their demanding schedule. If you're a high-performing man who wants to feel strong and energized as you are successful, message me, John Fayocavitz, on LinkedIn. On today's show, we have Joel Bancroft-Connors, who is the Gorilla Coach, where he helps leaders see what's visible in their own organization. Joel, thank you so much for coming on. We're so excited to have you.
Absolute pleasure, John. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Joel, my first question is, what's the most important lesson you've learned so far that's helped you become successful in your business?
Most important lesson. Oh, let me think on that
It could be
one.
lessons. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be one.
Yeah. I think the biggest lesson for me really came only just a few years ago when I got laid off from the consulting company that I had been with for several years. And I guess I realized I'd been chasing the myth that when I was a full-time employee, that W-2, for those not in the United States, that's the tax document that says we're a full-time employee. That W-2 gives you stability. And the reality was that I was just trading one hustle for another. Instead of when you're working full time, it seems like every 18 months, every 2 years, you're hustling for that next job. And quite often it's this really big stress and strain as you're making that huge hustle. Whereas when you're working for yourself, you're hustling all the time, but it kind of starts to even out as the work goes.
Okay.
And then, so working for myself, I'm hustling all the time. I'll take that second one all the time. And I've been doing that now for four years as running my own business. And the bonus is then I'm now able to help organizations solve those same problems better now because I'm outside of the system looking in.
Right. Now, the company that you were with, was it in the same kind of business?
Yeah, it was in the same kind of business, doing business consulting for organizations, helping them to improve their ability to deliver value. They got too far over their skis, and so they had to massively downsize. And I got let go and had to figure out what I was going to do myself. And I decided never again. I was going to work for myself now, and
That's
so now I've
awesome.
got partners, not employers.
That is so great. I mean, things happen for a reason. Okay. And going from that consulting that you were doing and just starting your own business and not working for somebody and giving them the money, you got it all now.
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't mind the hustle and the grind that you have to put in for that.
Right, because it's just that's part of the cost of doing business.
Right.
And it's the same hustle, it's the same amount. It's when you spread out all of that effort. When you're unemployed, there's huge stress, huge hustle, and you're doing that. And yes, maybe you're only doing it every 18 to 24 months, but you also don't have as much experience with it, so it's something brand new every time. Whereas when you're running your own business, you get to know this stuff and you get to learn how to do this, and it becomes a part of what you do.
Right. So not exactly, but what do you do? What's the guerrilla business? What are you doing?
So I really specialize in the organizations quite often don't know why they're not able to get their results. And they don't realize that there are all these hidden friction points, hidden handoffs, invisible sign-offs that are preventing them from getting from point A to point B. And I just come in and I help them basically what we call see the system and see where things are missing in handoffs. I worked with one company and they couldn't figure out why it took them over 20 weeks to add a new table to a database. And so we just started walking everything out and we looked at it all. And that we found out that over 65% of the time that they were spending was actually wait. They were waiting for something. They were waiting for somebody. And just by
Right.
making that visible, they were by being able to name it, they were able to tame it.
So you tweak systems. Is that what you try to do?
Yep. It's about helping people see the system they already have and then fix that system.
And make it better.
Yeah.
Okay. So you work real lot with technology then.
Technology, but it's more it's the human flow. It's the all of the people interactions and all of the stuff and the handoffs and well, we go from a review to test and all of that back and forth. So none of it really is technology per se. I mean, the first time I learned about this was watching one of my bosses figure out where we were getting particles on plastic during a build process of a plastic case. And so
Right.
it was a manufacturing line, but I learned about systems flow by watching a manufacturing line.
That's awesome. Awesome. Awesome insights. Okay. My next question, Joel, what do you think hinders a lot of men from reaching their full potential today?
Right? Shoot, I knew you were going to ask this question, or I thought you were going to ask this question. I had it answered. Now I've
That's,
completely lost it.
that's all right. I mean,
Yeah,
a
no,
lot of,
yeah. Uh, So, I mean, the classic answers, the ones you get all the time, are things like imposter syndrome and such. But I think one of the things, and it kind of ties into one of your other questions of the biggest piece of advice you could offer is comes from a quote that I actually give whenever I'm teaching classes, on teaching classes to leaders, and it's a quote from the author of The Littlest Prince, Anton de Saint-Exupéry, and it says,
wow.
"If you want to build a ship, don't drum up people to collect wood and don't assign them tasks and work. Rather, teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea." And so I think the biggest issue here is it's twofold. Do we know what our why is? If you don't know what your why is before you get started, you're never going to be successful. And Simon Sinek has a wonderful book around this called Start with Why, and then he followed that up with Find Your Why. So I think the answer to that biggest barrier is people don't know why they're doing it. They don't have a purpose. They're just going out and they're starting work.
And do you think what I'm seeing when I'm on the podcast here, and I also see in my going through is distractions on social media.
Yeah, I mean, there is so much information out there.
I mean,
Um,
they should like they change your mind. Like you just said, what's your why and stick with your why.
yeah,
Because then you go and you scroll to this and well, we could do this better. You know, it's not even something you like. It's just something it's that shiny object syndrome.
yeah. And part of it is it having a clear why, a clear vision, a
Mm-hmm.
clear product goal means that when the shinies come along, you can hold up the shiny and go, does this help me to get to my goal? If it does,
Exactly.
great. It's a wonderful shiny. If it doesn't, let's put it off to the side.
Right. That's excellent. 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 All right. All right. My next question. For most men on the road to business or professional success, okay, other areas of their life get sacrificed. What's been one of the areas of your life that has suffered, if there has been? But where would you like to be successful now, too? Is there an area there that you would like to get better at?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it is personal health. I mean, when you reached out to me about doing the podcast, like, oh yeah, that's actually very relevant to me. I mean, I had back surgery over a decade ago. I had shoulder surgery just last year, and I'm in my mid 50s and realizing that I'm not going to make it to my mid 80s where my mother is if I don't start doing something different about my health now. And so a lot of the choices I made when I was younger. I mean, throwing 100-pound hay bales when I was in my 30s, like, oh, I can throw a 100-pound hay bale. It's like, yes, I can in my 30s. But now that I'm in my 50s, my body is reminding me of all those 100-pound hay bales that I was tossing with wild abandon.
Right.
And so it's a bit of the health, but it's also a bit of the thinking about the consequences later. It's not just about, well, if I'm walking regularly, if I'm lifting weights or I'm doing something now, I'm going to be healthier now. It's that if I do this, I'm going to be healthier 3 decades from now.
Okay. Yes, exactly. And it's on the term of longevity is what we're looking at.
Mhm.
Okay. So what area is there an area that you'd want to be more besides the health thing? I mean, we can get into that, but is there anything else that you'd like to be successful?
I running my own small business. I'd like to be more successful. Honestly, what it is I spent a lot of my life traveling around and helping large companies. And it's great, but my real passion is making a difference, is literally changing the world for the better. And I
Great.
realized that's really in the small business space. And so what I've been
Right.
doing over the last year or so is pivoting to thinking more local. What can I do to help small businesses around me, within 100 miles of me, and help those businesses see their systems and build up the local businesses, the local communities, because when we think local, that's going to help us global. And so that's where I
Right.
really want to pivot, is taking the skills I learned traveling 200,000 miles a year by
That's
airplane
awesome.
and apply them to the people within 100 miles of me.
That's awesome, Joel. And I bet you it's also more gratifying too, knowing that you're helping the small businesses rather than the big conglomerates.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes huge. Okay. All right. My next question. Where would you find yourself or where do you find yourself at peace?
Um, Out on the property. So this is people on the podcast can't see it, but I've got this office. It's got all my stuff in here. And this is where I spend 50, 60 hours a week. But this office is sitting on 6 acres of land with horses, chickens, dogs, cats, etc. I always like to joke, I don't need a gym membership. I've got property. And so there, it's going out and using the weed whacker or fixing the electric fence or installing a new horse waterer, getting out there, putting on gloves and dealing with real physical problems is where I'm really at peace. And it makes a nice mental break from all of this intense knowledge work that I do when I'm in front of my computers.
That's so you it's not per se a farm. It's just like it's horses and chickens and so you got to do the work.
Yeah, I mean it's spring, so literally everything is growing up. So I've got to cut back the
You
blackberries. I've got to weed whack along the driveway. I've got to help my wife plant vegetable crops and the dahlia crops. There's always something to be done. There's always some repair project or another.
right now, okay, go which leads me to my next question. Then is all this on a routine basis? Do you have a routine in the mornings that you do?
So good question. When it comes to the property, there isn't a routine. It's either what's broken now or what is the most
Okay.
important thing for my wife. But when it comes to work, I absolutely have a routine. It's a routine I started in when COVID happened, because I went from traveling 200 plus thousand miles a year on airplanes. I'd be on a plane like almost every week in the past. And so there was no way to have a routine. When COVID happened, I realized I needed a routine. And so I actually developed what I called the Mr. Rogers routine. This goes
All
back
right.
to
I
Mr.
can't
Rogers'
wait to hear
neighborhood.
this. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And so whenever if you watch Mr. Rogers, he walks into the house and he sits down and he takes off his outside shoes and his blazer and he puts on a sweater and he basically makes this transition and he has his outfit that he wears during the show.
Yes.
So every morning, I come downstairs to my office. I change into office clothes. When I am in the office, I always wear a collared shirt. It can be a Hawaiian shirt, but it always has a collar. It says, I am working. I have a pair of shoes that live in my office that are just for being able to stand all day and work all day. And that is my office clothing. And then at night, when I leave the office, the very first thing is I go change into a pair of sweats, a t-shirt, and I transition out. And I close the office door and I leave the office in the office. Even though it's in my house, I create this clear separation of home and work time.
Wow. And that is super, man. That's gonna my audience gonna eat this one up. The Mr. Rogers.
Oh,
Man.
we know this
And
is
you
the
know
house.
what?
I'll walk out and I'll say, honey, I'm going to go Mr. Rogers. And she knows that
Oh,
I'm done with the workday. She also knows that, she can actually tell, do I have like a day when I'm going to be working with professionals or I'm going to be teaching a class? Because then I'll be always wearing a long sleeve shirt. But if I'm
right.
wearing a short sleeve collared shirt, it's like, oh, it's an office day. So you're just doing office work.
And it puts you in that, I guess, the proper mindset too, right? I'm ready for
Yeah,
work. And it's physically, because our mind tells it's everything.
yeah,
Okay. And you're sending a signal, physically sending a signal to your mind. Okay, it's work time. And then when I
yeah.
take them off, okay, now it's relax time. That is so super.
Yeah, and it's some of it. A lot of it is the shoes. I've got shoes that I wear only outside on the property. I have shoes that I wear off the property, and then I have shoes I wear around the house. And I can just, by feeling my feet, I know where what I'm supposed to be doing.
Do you ever go barefoot?
No, I don't. But that's because I got a bad knee and a bad back.
Okay, because that's what they say. The first thing that we should do in the mornings is ground ourselves with right with nature. But
Yeah,
bare feet.
there is that, but it's the when you got dogs, cats, etc. It's like I always wear something on my feet because I
You
never
don't
know
know
what.
what you're gonna step in, right?
Yeah.
So, that's so good, man. That is so good. Good information there, boy. I'm sure somebody will pick that up. I might even do it. So, all right. But my last question, Joel, if you were to give one piece of advice, now this time I'm looking for the one, okay,
Hmm.
to other men that are starting out and trying to be successful, okay, in their journey, what would that be? Now we're talking going from a corporation. If they're in a job and they say, okay, just like you did, if something happened, I got to start my own business, or this is what I'd like to do in my own business. What would that one piece of advice be?
Well, it kind of connects back to that previous question. It's the if you don't know what your why is, that's going to start the problem. But if we go back to Antoine's quote, um, don't tell people to do a task or to do work. Rather, teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea. The big thing is, even if you're a solopreneur, you cannot do this alone. You need to
Right,
recognize that you are working in a group, an environment, a system, and you have to get everybody else aligned with that same passion, that same purpose. If they don't
right,
have a shared purpose, then you're going to be fighting against that the entire time. And that
right,
also means if you're going to go work with companies, find companies that have a similar purpose or share your purpose, because they're going to be the ones that are going to resonate with your mission, resonate with how you help them.
right. Okay. Well, and it goes back to what you just said there, and it goes back to maybe my second question was what hinders men from reaching their full potential. Okay, and that's the word help, because in our own mind, a lot of men they think we're weak when we ask for help. Okay, and that's farthest thing from the truth. I need help all the time, every single day, no matter what aspect it is. And I think, what you just said there just is almost the same thing.
Yeah, when I'm working with teams, one of the things I actually teach them is instead of going what instead of saying, "Well, who did I help today?" It's the when was the last time you asked for help, and make
Yeah.
it safe to ask for help. Make it safe to recognize that we are in this as a group and we can't do this by ourselves. I mean, look, even if you look in like the machoest place in the world, like the military or sports, they can't do it alone. A special forces team is a cross-functional team of professionals who knows the skills of each person, and they're going to call on the person who has the best ability to help them at that time.
Right. Exactly. I
And
mean,
the quarterback, yeah, the quarterback doesn't try and kick a field goal. He calls in the special teams because that's their specialty.
and I'm just going to say, I coach lacrosse and football. I still do it in the high school
Mhm.
level, and I keep preaching and preaching to our guys that, and it's hard for today's kids today. They want individual accolades so bad, but you won't get it unless the team gets good.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
it
mean,
doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if you've got the number one run percentage if your
right,
team is always losing.
right. And that's when I go to these meetings and things and they don't understand today. Well, coach, how come I wasn't first team? Well, our record was 1-5 or 1-8. It's
Yeah.
just the way it is and the way it's going to work. You want to get, even though you think your individual accolades want to be better or you want to get somewhere, you got to be a teammate, a leader to make sure everybody understands for our ultimate goal is to be a team.
Yeah, the book Moneyball is actually a great book to teach business people how to work together as a team, because it wasn't the all-stars, it was a group of average people who together made an awesome team.
That's the A's. Was that the Oakland
Yeah,
A's?
that was the Oakland A's. Yeah.
And that was Billy. Was it Billy Bean?
Yeah, I think so. Brad Pitt did a good job with the movie. It
Yeah.
wasn't quite to the book, but it was a good movie.
Wow. That's great. Well, Joel, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, man. Okay. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be on. Your insights and your Mr. Rogers thing right there is going to be a big one. I mean, that's the first I've had. So I want to appreciate that. And thank you for your insights. Okay.
Absolutely. It was an absolute pleasure to be on your show, John.
Okay. As a reminder to everyone listening, this show is brought to you by the Prime Performance Method, where we help people perform, rebuild their energy, strength, and confidence without sacrificing their careers. So if you feel strong in your body as you are successful in your business, message me, John Fayocavitz, on LinkedIn. Until our next episode, perform strong in all areas of your life.